Hello, everyone. This is Team 5, and this is our best practice final presentation, Perry Formworks. We're going to go ahead and look at reverse logistics and best practices for Perry Formworks. So to get started with the agenda, today we have a company overview, which Chris will go ahead and cover. Next will be the problem statement about reverse logistics and Perry Formworks with Jimmy. Challenges within reverse logistics will be covered by Andre. And Perry Formworks best practices Chris will cover that as well. And then I'll go ahead and wrap up with a conclusion and some recommendations. So I'm going to pass it off to Chris right now, and he'll cover a company overview.
All right, so the history of Perry. Perry was founded in 1969 by Arthur Schwar, headquartered in Weissenhorn, Germany. It's a leader in the scaffolding and concrete formwork industry. Perry, meaning the Greek preposition as around, is what they're basically based off of. They have over 50 subsidiaries in over 90 countries around the world. And in 2013, they had 6,700 employees. That in 2017 is around 8,100. Perry USA, subsidiary of Perry Germany, was founded in 1989, and this market has been growing steadily ever since. They are the leader in the U.S. formwork industry, and the success of Perry USA is the result of a philosophy to provide the best possible solutions with the best possible service.
Okay, moving on with the problem statement. Hi, everybody. My name is Jimmy. As you know, returns the cost of returns over the last year was over $43 billion, and that's primarily at the event of e-commerce and the continued growth of the economy. The returns and forecasting accuracy. Unless reverse logistics is designed and built into the supply chain management process, there is no easy way to predict reverse flow of products to Perry, or when to expect returns, and this can impose stress upon the supply chain system. Return options. For products at the end of their life cycle, reverse logistics supply chain management extend their use through reuse, repairing, remanufacturing, or recycle. If implemented correctly, can allow Perry a second return on their investment. Transportation returns. Perry is concerned with better integrated delivery and collection within the same route. Additionally, Perry should engage its customers to consolidate orders and provide written feedback on their quality of service. Disaster challenges. Most companies have a risk plan to address and mitigate challenges, such as balancing short-term orders over long-term orders, while working within the repair and the assembly process. And finally, the ability for Perry to deal with unforeseen disruption is a core part of the supply chain. Perry is concerned with balancing short-term orders over long-term orders while working within the repair and assembly constraints. However, the ability to have extra merchandise release stress upon the supply chain when issues arise. For example, in a situation where a return is delayed due to transportation issues, client issues, or even damaged material, Perry has sufficient supplies on hand, which would allow them to find the necessary merchandise, deliver it to their waiting client, and to avoid back orders. In order to determine how Perry Formwork practices to deal with forecasting, transportation, and disaster mitigation can be improved. However, a comparison of the companies within the industry and other best business practice leaders within the reverse logistics field was conducted to provide recommendations. I'll be followed by Andre.
Now to discuss the challenges that Perry Formworks faces, the first one being their ability to forecast. Perry's business model is centered around the reverse logistics. However, there is no easy way for them to forecast returns of their equipment because they lease it to construction companies, and construction projects are usually never finished on time. Perry annotates return dates for their equipment in their contracts to mitigate these errors as much as possible. Due to difficulties with forecasting, Perry maintains additional inventory on hand with short lead times, which puts them ahead of their competition and allows them to charge higher prices on it. The next challenge that Perry faces is the transportation of their equipment during reverse logistics. Perry uses their own fleet of trucks to reclaim the leased inventory, which can pose problems if they lease their equipment to several clients whose contracts terminate on or about the same time. Perry's internal transportation assets would not be able to handle more than one client at a time, and a transportation service would need to be subcontracted to reclaim the inventory. The last challenge that Perry faces is their ability to react to more than one disruption to their supply chain due to delays in transportation, client issues, or even damaged material. As mentioned previously, Perry maintains extra inventory on hand. However, that inventory is not enough for multiple clients. To help Perry mitigate their challenges with forecasting, transportation, and supply chain disruptions, a comparison of other companies in the industry and other best practice leaders has been conducted to formulate recommendations for them, which Chris will discuss next.
All right, so the best practices of reverse logistics involves the use of components was what we came to. Now, when Perry receives a return, the return is either involved in a rework, scrap, or repair. Now, when these are later on found out to be scrapped or repaired, these are just sold off. And like other companies or other industries that have reverse logistics systems, some of these can be actually reused or reworked into another use of components. Let's take the electronics industry, where electronics were usually scrapped or thrown away into a junkyard, but now they are actually reused and recycled for refurbished products at a discounted price. So they're actually reaping the benefits twice. Another area was product buyback. When Perry usually ships components out or ships their product out, they usually either sell the product or they'll have it as a return or as a rental. Now, when a product buyback happens, is the consumer may no longer need the product because these are very large buildings, and if a product comes to an end, it usually can be scrapped and the customer doesn't know what to do. Now, Perry can offer to buy back these products, rework them, repair them, and utilize them again. Obviously, a second, basically giving them another advantage of both giving them a lower cost to buy the product back and also re-renting and reusing the product for years and years. This has been seen by Apple, is able to reuse the components and rare earth metals for future model phones, thus keeping the prices more competitive. And then the last one for best practices are the transportation innovation. Perry does not have any type of internal logistics system, and they rely heavily on 3PLs to have all their components be moved around. Now, the way that they use them is through a system called U-Route, and this is basically a hand-picked suggestion of truckers, and it's very limited to who gets picked, and the truckers can actually charge the most of what they want, and it's actually more of a pull situation with them. Now, the trucking industry is a huge industry, and it is increasing every single day. And as Perry grows, and they are vastly growing throughout the United States, they need to be able to find cheaper methods, more reliable methods, and also better methods of transporting their material. The transportation of this material will obviously be costly, and because of the size of equipment, but as more options and more trucks are opened for availability, it's able to drive down the costs, since now instead of Perry having to find trucking companies, the trucking companies will now ultimately find them. And our last slide, Stephen will bring you to of the conclusion.
Thank you, Chris. So basically, in summary, we've looked at a lot of the key performance indicators for best practices within reverse logistics. The reuse of components, which is something that Perry Formworks is actually very decent at, being able to return the products that may be damaged but still have some value, which is key to the designing of a reverse logistics system. Being able to reintegrate certain value parts back into it in order to remanufacture, rework, recycle, or reuse. And in the end, some goes to waste, but Perry has done a very good job at being able to mitigate that disposal. They're also very good at the customer buyback, the product buyback, being able to, within a contract, offer customers the ability to sell them the product for a certain amount of time, or with the exception of buying it back after they are finished with it. And that is very important to the integrating customers to the reverse logistics, because their willingness to let you know what's coming back and when very, very much so helps with the forecasting aspect of reverse logistics. One area that Perry Formworks does struggle in is the transportation innovation, being reliant on the trucking industry and the 3PLs. We do recommend that they can better improve their sustainability and their green business by maybe investing in their own trucking fleet, or working with the trucking industry in order to improve their sustainability, and also the routing system of their reverse logistics, being able to condense the forward logistics with the reverse logistics and not letting that get in the way. And so that's all we have for this. That's kind of a summary of Perry Formworks and their reverse logistics. Thank you very much for watching.